you look closer. I said what I said. I'm not saying anymore.
Oh my God, yes.
A little affection.
What just happened?
If you've been with me from episode 1, you remember me saying, as the episodes carried on, that Lucinda was the woman that Timothy needed. She might not have been the woman he wanted, but she was the woman he needed. And to see him, oh my God, the growth, the development. This is what top of the food chain looks like, because you've gone into the trenches, you've put in the work, and you're finally seeing the top. So whatever Tori was calling it, I don't get it. And I give credit to everybody supporting Lucinda and Timothy's letter and saying it was factual. There was nothing there that wasn't true. And it's like, hey, it is what it is. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Married at First Sight, Australia, Season 11, Episode 28. It's nice to see that I'm not the only one who sees through Sarah's attempts. Obviously, she's anxious about going to the dinner party because she's been able to sort of squirm her way and avoid getting in trouble with Tim, because Tim is a great guy and he's not really holding her feet to the fire. He's just set guidelines for what he expects, and he's just hoping she either does that or she doesn't, and he's out the door. And so for her to say, you know, we're doing great, but I'm worried about everyone. Obviously, she's talking about Jaden and Eden, and mainly Jaden, because Jaden still feels some type of way. He still wants her feet held to the fire, because he's saying once a cheater, always a cheater. So I can't wait for that standoff, because we know there's going to be a standoff between the two of them. And I don't know why Jaden keeps making it about himself and instead of his friend Tim, and sort of worrying about how Tim feels in the moment. You have Lucinda and Timothy. They're in a good place. They are in a great place. They're excited to be going to the dinner party. They're sort of wanting to know. Lucinda wants to know, are we going to own up to our letter or not? And Timothy is like, I wish I'd put my fingerprint on it so that they know that it's me. That's the impression he's giving, because he's saying, yes, I am going to own to that letter. So they decide to get on the same page to sort of understand what they're going to say and how they're going to say it. You have Jack and Tori talking about, oh, everybody's always trying to come on top and they're trying to sort of attack us. And it's like, you're not at the top of the food chain. Please sit down. You're really not. We don't want to hear that top of the food chain business, because you're not it. And so they are going in on the defense and saying, whoever comes for us, we're going to defend ourselves. Tori is sort of upset that they didn't own up to who they are. And Jack is saying that couple is very upset. They're very miserable. That's why they are sort of poking them. And the producers are messy, because they swing over to Lucinda and Timothy cracking up, really cracking up, because they are in a good place. They are happy. They're excited. They've decided to be the messy couple. And hey, if it works for them, I love it for them. And so I can't wait for the standoff at the dinner party between all the couples. Everybody else is getting ready for the dinner party and leaving for the dinner party, and Richard and Andy are sitting down, and Andy has these notes that she's written down, and she keeps sipping on this coffee, that cup that appears to be empty. And so she starts listing out things that upset her, or things that Richard has done that have made her sort of shut down. And it's like, if you're closed off to this man, allow this man to move on. Please allow this man to move on. This man really likes you. You were told that this man likes you, and you were told that you are in the driver's seat of this relationship. And because of that, you are now looking for ways to tarnish his image. And it's too late, because you've already said he's treated you way better than anyone else. And for her to say he treats her, he's actually worse than her ex, that was a low blow. That was a low blow, because you could see Richard was upset. And I don't think there's any coming back from that. It seemed like she went and she spoke to someone, and then they made a list of things that she didn't like about Richard. And then she came back with this list and decided to start reading it out. This is what Richard was saying, that the problem is I can never get a leg up, because every time you sit me down, you tell me what I've done wrong, I apologize, and I think we're moving on, and then we move a couple of steps, then we go back, and we're even further back than when we were when we stopped the last time, because you keep rehashing this old stuff that I personally feel like we've moved on from. And that's because, for me, I always notice this with men. Men are quick to move on from any beef. If they have beef, they iron it out and they move on and they don't readdress it unless it reoccurs. Whereas with women, we sort of are constantly unpacking that suitcase. Every time there's a problem, we stop, we and offload the whole suitcase and start, oh, you did this. And I think this is why they don't understand one another. Yes, he was disrespectful in how he spoke, but it's time to move on. She needs to either choose, do I want to forgive him and move on, or do I want to leave? And that's where they are. And I think this is where he is. And it's sad that they're going to break up when they were one of the best couples just because of a lack of understanding. That's the impression that I get. You have everyone in the cars sort of on their way to the dinner party, anxious about the forthcoming dinner party. Jaden and Eden are sort of wondering whether Tim has been able to forgive Sarah. They worry that he might have gone back. And we can all see he's gone back. He's kissing on her. He's loving her. He's caressing her leg. So he's gone back. Anyway, first to arrive is Jaden Rich. They are in a happy place. They are excited to be there. They don't normally mind anybody's business but their own, outside of the Richard and Andy situation. Next up is Jaden and Eden, and they are in a great place as well. So you have Eden sort of let it be known that Tori's upset because she received a letter from someone who called themselves the bullshit investigators, and so she's fuming over that. And Ridge is quick to say, oh, I know who it came from. It was from Lucinda and Timothy. And they're like, no, it can't be Lucinda. It can't be Lucinda and Timothy. Maybe Timothy, but not Lucinda. And it's like, well, it is them. Give them a moment and they'll own up. And Ridge also brings up the fact that, Jade told him that Jack said if he was attracted to his partner, he would have slept with him by now, which he's been saying. So it's nothing new. So people like Jaden shouldn't be shocked because he said this when they had a men's outing. This is not new information that people are working with. This is something that they've all known about. So everybody needs to take several seats. Anyway, next up is Lucinda and Timothy to walk in hand in hand. Jono comes in on his own. I love the fact that he said Lauren must be sitting on pins and needles wanting to know what's going on, and I can't wait to update her on everything that's taking place. And it's like, oh, this is why you don't mess around with couples, because when you confide in them, when they meet up, you are the gossip that they're going to share, and they're going to be laughing at your expense. So I can't wait. I wish I was a fly on the wall when Jono is feeding back to Lauren, and then it comes out, this letter, eventually, Timothy and Lucinda are trying to play coy and not let it be known, that they wrote the letter. They're waiting until the dinner party. And to hear Eden say, yeah, it came across a bit harsh, but everything was factual. I don't dispute anything in the letter. So they wrote the facts. Yes, Tori might not be happy, but that was the truth. And everybody knows it's the truth. If it wasn't the truth, then people would be saying, oh no, you're lying, this is bad. But everybody knows it's the truth. And for them to be asked to phone the ex and confirm this is something Tori should have done on her own without needing somebody else to encourage her. Next is Jack and Tori, and the reception could not be any colder. Oh my God, I got a chill from it because nobody seemed ecstatic to see them, and everybody's keeping the secret about who wrote the letter until the dinner table because Lucinda and Timothy have asked them to keep the secret. You then have Cassandra and Tristan walk in. This is not the first time. Every time there's a challenge, you rarely see Cassandra and Tristan. Is it because they're not doing great in the challenges, or is it because there's no drama, so the producers have decided to just skip over it? I don't get it, and I don't understand it, and this is why there's gaps in understanding their relationship, because every time we see them, it's them sort of going back and forth about there being lack of intimacy. Otherwise, apart from that, we don't know anything else about them as a couple. And I've noticed this. This is not the first time. And it seems to be every time they skip over them and they only show us when there's drama. When there's no drama, we don't see anything going on. Even the experts are worried that they don't seem to have made any progress. So they're worried about what's going to happen next in regards to their connection. You have Richie coming on his own. Obviously, he and Andy had that massive fight before the dinner party. So I'm not surprised that they both came in single. It will be interesting to see what happens once they both arrive, though. As soon as Rich notices that, Rich is on his own, he starts complaining that, oh my God, I did something. It's me. Even Jade is like, it's you. You sat down with Andy. What did you do? So he runs to sit down with Richard and sort of have a conversation with Richard. I think just to explain himself and what he meant so that Richard clearly understands that there was no malice there. It was just he was giving an opinion of what he was looking at. It's not like he was trying to break them up. But I don't get where Andy's coming from, because Andy came in and she sat with, of all the people she could sit with, she sat down with Jack and Tori, and it's like, they're the last people I would want to give me advice. I would rather sit with Jaden if I have to get advice from someone in that group, if nobody else will give me advice. And for her to say, oh, he's called me a liar, he's told me that I'm gaslighting him. And it's like, but you told him he's worse than your ex. And your ex must have been terrible because that broke him. The two of you were fighting. You weren't fighting fair. So please be honest. If you're going to say what he called you, also say what you said to him. Don't make it seem like he, out of the blue, just started calling you names and you were innocent. You were just sitting there and watching him call you names for no apparent reason. That I didn't like. I think that she was wrong for that. She should have told the truth and told everybody of exactly what happened. This is why when someone comes to me with information, I want to hear the context in which it was said and what else was taking place, because at times people will always say things that will make them look the best and not own up to their negatives, whereas if I do something wrong, I'm quick to own up to it. So I'm not really buying what Andy's selling. Sorry. I know, yes, their communication wasn't great, but still she needs to take ownership of her baggage. Richard needs to own his baggage, and then the two of them can move on. You then have everyone sort of wondering who else is left, and it's Sarah and Tim, and people are wondering whether Tim is going to walk in with Sarah. They're in for a rude awakening when they find out that they've been bumping uglies already. Tim and Sarah are the last to walk in, and it's so icy, it's so chilly, it's so uncomfortable. Tristan had to say to the other guys, oh, let's be, polite. Come on, let's greet them. Because nobody stood up to greet them. Nobody said anything. They just stared at them. I think everyone was expecting Tim to walk in on his own. So the idea that he walked in arm with Sarah after her cheating, scandal didn't make sense to anyone. And it's like, well, if you're going to be cordial with Jack, then do the same for Sarah, because Jack has done exactly the same thing. Yes, maybe he hasn't cheated now, but he came in a cloud of a girlfriend or an ex-girlfriend accusing him of lying to her that he was going to America. So please, let's have uniform behavior. If we're going to be nasty to someone, let's be nasty to everybody else. And then you have Jack and Tori sort of isolating themselves from the group. They're sitting in a corner, and Lucinda and Timothy are cracking up. They're laughing their lungs out, and it's nice to see how they're rubbing off one another, how they're complimenting each other, because Lucinda was all this happy-go-lucky, away with the fairies, everything washes over me, and now she's got this persona in her whereby she's skeptical of situations, and Timothy has sort of mellowed, and even the experts were laughing to say, oh, it was beautiful to watch. They're on cloud nine, they're enjoying themselves, and Tori and Jack are sulking in a corner, and it's like, that's the way it should be. Somebody needs to humble Tori and Jack because they think they run the show, and it's nice to see other people making them uncomfortable by asking them genuine questions. It's not like they asked them anything malicious. There were genuine questions and genuine concerns that people had, or that someone who's in a relationship with a new guy should have. That if you have an ex sort of making allegations that they're still dating, the least you can do is contact the ex and actually find out what's going on instead of relying on what your boyfriend is telling you. That way you can make an informed decision. I love Lucinda because I'm like Lucinda. If I say or do something, I'm going to stand 10 toes deep with my chest out and own up to it, because there's no reason in why I should refuse what I've done. So for her to own up, to say it's very uncomfortable in here, I just want everyone to know that this is our letter, we wrote the letter, and those are the facts. And for Tori to sort of try and downplay it, I don't get it. Oh, that's your opinion, that's not my opinion. And it's like, well, that's not the truth. Everybody at the table is saying everything that was in the letter was factual. The delivery might not have been correct, but everything was factual. And this is why you're upset. Because if it wasn't a fact, then you wouldn't be upset. If there were lies, you'd be okay with it. But because it was factual, this is why you're upset. And because Timothy was involved in writing the letter, that's the other reason why. I give it to Jade. Jade is like Cassandra. She doesn't like to speak up, but when she speaks up, she's telling the truth. So she spoke up and said, when we went out, this is what Jack told me. He told me if he was attracted to you, he would have slept with you. But because there's no attraction there, maybe that's why you guys are not doing it. Oh, well, that's just your opinion. No, it's not an opinion. It's going to play on TV. You're going to see it. And for Jack to try and sort of defend himself in that, I don't get it. And for him to try and antagonize, Tim, and try and poke him. Tim is now a happy guy. Lucinda has mellowed him, so he's not easily triggered by anything. And for Tori to say, I don't care what everybody else thinks as long as we are good. If you think I'm stupid, and it's like, well, you are really. All you're doing it is just for the clicks and the likes and the followers. Otherwise, there's no other reason why you should still be in this marriage. There's no other reason why you should be putting up with this man. You should be setting boundaries with this guy. When are you planning on doing it? After the experiment? Because someone said they're still together. I don't know why they would still be together, because it's a toxic mess, a toxic and disrespectful mess. Because for Jack to own up to say, yes, I did say what Jade said I said, and not apologize or explain why he said it, doesn't make sense. And for Tori to continue to play naive, she's not naive. She's not naive. And then you have other people rubbing it in her face. You know, people like Jaden and Eden saying, I like her, or this, that, and the other. And it's like, Tori wants to be top of the food chain. Please don't do that to her. Watching Andy and Richie fight is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking because they are sort of sitting there and they're sort of willing this relationship to grow and wanting to resolve their issues, but they're struggling to sort of understand each other. And then eventually, Andy got so upset, she started swearing. And Richard is so tunnel visioned. Even Tristan said this. And I hope this is a teachable moment for people like Timothy who say young people can't teach me anything, because Tristan was able to say to Richard, look at Andy. Can you see how much pain she's in? Can you see how much pain you're causing her? And that sort of made him take a step back, and then he sort of reflected on who she is and sort of how he feels about her. And he said, at the moment, I don't have any empathy because of the bad, how upset I am with some of the things that she said to me that I felt were disrespectful. But at the end of the day, I really adored this woman. And you could see everyone wanted to cry. And the fact that he was able to take responsibility and say, at times when I get excited, I say inappropriate stuff, which has been her problem with him. And so at least he knows this. It's just him putting in the work that's left. And then, so that was cute to see. And the fact that they kept holding hands, even though they were disagreeing, was amazing. I think because they could see that everybody really wants them to work, including the experts, because they started off on a very high note. So I think if they can sort of resolve their issues and they can, I said this last week, I was hoping the experts would meet up with them on a one-to-one basis and sort of have communication with them and help them sort of navigate this difficult path that they're in. But I feel like if they can navigate and get over this, then they will be the strongest couple. And then you have Sarah and Timothy making out. And Jaden is fuming. If you could see smoke coming out of his ears, it says though Sarah cheated on him when she didn't. It's like, sit down, but it's not your battle to fight. Just sit down and just watch and see what happens. Somebody's heart is going to be broken very soon. It's the fact that Cassandra was wanting feedback from Jade and Ridge, and everyone said, no, let's go to Tim and Sarah. And Sarah was trying her best to be loving and caring and kissing on her husband and doing everything that he wants her to do. And so when she was backed in a corner, she didn't know what to do. Everyone is right to say they need to leave, because this is to save Tim's heart. Not because people don't like Tim, but they want to save his heart because he's opening himself again to heartbreak from Sarah, because Sarah is not 100% in this. Yes, the girl said, she's trying to repair her image because she knows it's been badly damaged by the cheating scandal. So she was trying to sort of rebuild her character. That I can totally agree with. But at the same time, you can't tell someone how to feel. You can't tell someone that break your relationship, because he is a great guy. So he's going to empathize and he's going to feel sorry for her, and he's going to continue to want to support her, because in the end, he had to tell everyone to stop talking, because they were all coming after Sarah, and Sarah didn't know what to do. She was backed in a corner, and they're all saying, tell the truth. I wish he had kept quiet and allowed them to keep backing her in the corner until she told the truth, that actually I'm really not as into him as he is into me. Because at the end of the day, so it took this cheating scandal for her to bring out the warmer side of herself that she didn't show him. Make that make sense? She's performing for the cameras as far as I'm concerned, and nothing else. I remember saying that Lucinda is the woman he needed. She might not have been the woman he wanted, but she's the woman he needed. And she's going to make him, if he's open to her, the best version of himself. So he needs to open up and make sure he doesn't lose this golden opportunity. So they're sitting at the table, they're sort of talking about their relationship, and they're laughing because Timothy is saying, it's been weeks. We haven't fought for over weeks. It's uncharted territory. I think he's used to keeping people away at an arm's reach. And so the idea that Lucinda has broken that barrier and she stepped in and she's right next to him is what is shocking for him. So they were so excited talking about their relationship, and she gave him a peck on the cheek and he turned around and actually gave her a kiss on the lips. And it's like, oh my God, the earth shook, because even Tori had said, I can see that the two of you are growing on one another. I can see that your walls are breaking down and you're a good match. And that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to say anymore because I'm your arch nemesis. And people were saying that. And so to see them, and I think once he kissed Lucinda and he saw the appreciation from everyone, I think what broke him, this is my opinion, I think the idea that he realized he's got a cheerleaders around the table, irregardless of how they feel about him and how they argue, they're all cheering for his success, they're all cheering for his growth, they're all cheering for him to find love. And to have Tristan have a toast to his mom and dad was the cherry on the top. And I think this is what broke him, that he thought he was alone in the world. All he needed was to come on Married at First Sight to find a new family. In Married at First Sight, he's found brothers, he's found, sisters, he's found children, he's found a mom and a dad. In Richie and Andy, even though they're around about the same age. So for him, I think this is what broke him, because he started crying and he said, I am 51 years old and I've realized that I've wasted 51 years being angry when I could have allowed people to come in. I wish I had been more open to receive Lucinda or receive someone like Lucinda. He is seeing the value in Lucinda. The gates were open when her dad sat him down and said, I'm tired of you being angry. You need to stop. Enough. It's enough. Let's move on. And I think once that gate was broken, Lucinda then found a way to slide in. I think her dad had a conversation and sort of told her how to approach him. And so once this wall started cracking, there was no way for him to hold it up. And I give him credit for even Lucinda, when she went to console him, it wasn't about her. This is what I like about Lucinda. It's never about Lucinda. It's about the person. So it's always about Tim. Tim's growth, Tim's development, Tim's walls coming down. And she says, I'm just a viewer. I'm just sitting there watching all this. And she's ecstatic. She's ecstatic, especially with the kiss and him crying. She encouraged it because she said, it's good for you. It's healthy. That was cute to see. That was really cute to see. I can't wait to see them on the couch. It was a great episode. It had everything. It was a roller coaster. And apparently there's going to be fireworks in the commitment ceremony. So I can't wait for that as well. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. And click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 27. Bye guys.